So first of all, I would like to say I wish I had smartphones because it would have made my honors research a lot easier. So my name is Madisen Hvidberg, and today I'm going to present on my honors research into Neanderthal population size and distribution. Starting this project in the fall, of course I do this, we had a few general aims. First of all, we wanted to review the numerical estimations in the literature of Neanderthal population size and density. We also wanted to look at the methods used to derive these estimations, and we wanted to evaluate these methods based on the assumptions and errors inherent in their use. So I apologize for the miscommunication. I only have one slide, so you get to look at this for 5 minutes. And I'm So for a little bit of background, for those of you who do not know, Neanderthals are a hominid species that lived from approximately 300,000 to 30,000 years ago. Geographically, they have so far been found from Spain into Russia and outside of Europe into the Near East and all the way into Siberia. Additionally, Neanderthals are also modern humans' closest relatives in the fossil record. This makes them especially important for studying because they help us understand hominin evolution, both biologically and culturally. So looking at population, why is that important? Well, knowing how many Neanderthals occupied the landscape would help archaeologists for a variety of reasons. These include understand subsistence patterns and the Neanderthals' relationship to the natural ecology and their use of the landscape. It would also help us answer questions about cultural transmission and possible social dynamics during this time. Additionally, it would make clearer inferences about the interactions that Neanderthals had with modern humans, helping us better understand possible interbreeding events and their disappearance. So far, what are the estimations we're looking at? These numbers are very low. A lot of papers only go so far as to mention that Neanderthals must have had very small group sizes. The best way I can illustrate this is by telling you that the numerical estimations cluster around 10,000 individuals. Because we do not fully understand their spatial distribution, this is very difficult to compute into a density, but to give you perspective, there are more than double that number of students enrolled in SFU today. So Neanderthals, 10,000, SFU students, 26,000, according to Google. This number and the other numbers that are presented are derived primarily through 3 methods: archaeological methods, genetic methods, and paleodemographic methods, the last of which is the primary focus of my honors research. However, despite archaeologists having to rely on these methods, because we can't go back into the past and run census data, we do have some inherent problems to look at. So archaeologically, we don't actually understand how the amount of material culture found in the archaeological record relates to population size. It has been suggested that there are other factors of hunter-gatherer behavior, such as risk management, that are actually more closely related to the production of material culture. Genetically, our sample size of Neanderthals isn't huge. People try to get at population size through genetics in 2 main ways. First of all is through trying to measure variability or through creating an effective population size to try and then determine the census population. However, modern studies have suggested that there are huge rates of errors in both of these methods. Also, DNA work is a fairly recent development, so this field still has a lot of time to evolve and refine their methods. Finally, in paleodemographic reconstructions, demography is based on understanding 3 main factors and their interactions: fertility, mortality, and migration. It's very difficult to come up with accurate numbers for these factors through the archaeological record using skeletal remains of Neanderthals that are so far distributed through time and space. So this relies primarily on analogy with modern hunter-gatherers. However, there hasn't been enough consideration into our heavy reliance on this analogy and how accurate our ethnographic and ethnohistoric data relates to Neanderthals. So in future research, we really need to combine these methods to create a holistic approach to this question. We also need to address this question on its own merits. A lot of research seems to accept the idea of small Neanderthal group sizes without looking at it very critically. So our conclusion so far with how many Neanderthals did take to occupy Eurasia, we really don't know, and it might be impossible to ever come up with just a single number to answer this question in the future. However, moving forward, we are hoping that our work with this project can start a more critical discussion about prehistoric population methods, both within and beyond the context of Neanderthals. So aptly, because I'm the last presentation, I would like to thank the faculty of environment for putting on the symposium and everybody who worked really hard to put this on. I'd also like to thank my peers who have listened to me rant and rave around these points for the last 8 months, because I know a lot of you have heard about this a lot. And finally, I would like to, of course, thank Dennis Hangath for being my supervisor and putting up with my varied levels of panic and procrastination in this project.